All right, hey everybody, BallFour here, and just going to do a little tutorial for you about stadium modding. And for this tutorial, just have a few programs open. I've got Total Commander. This is just kind of how I control my file system. I find that it just kind of organizes everything in a nice, neat, clean way. So again, we're talking stadium modding today. So here is my MVP Baseball editable stadium folder. And today we are going to take care of the Oakland Coliseum. This was a request from Esky, and we are going to start the game to show you what I'm talking about here. So the theme that we're going to mod today is Oakland Coliseum, and it is a 1970s
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Thanks for joining us today. This is one of the best hitters in baseball. Just out of the fielder's reach.
Okay, so here we go. This is what we're going to be modding here, the center field area. And we kind of want to get rid of the ads and the jumbotron and things like that and make them look as they did back in the 70s rather than the 80s and early 90s. So going off that, what you first do is, again, we go into our data file, then down to stadium, and then choose which stadium we want. So for this case, we want to have Oakland, so that is NetW Day and NetW Night, and that's already been opened here. So when you open it up in the Big GUI, this is what you will see, just kind of a bunch of file names and things like that. What we want to do is we want to extract cram32.fsh out and put it into our desktop. That's what I already did there. So I have it right over here, so I'm not going to do it again. And then we open this up with a program called FSH-Ed. And so when I click it, it automatically opens things up and creates a folder of all the files. Next thing I do is I use Adobe Photoshop. That's my editing software. And we're going to give it a look. So what we're looking for is the center field area there. We know it through the Bud Light, the Bud, the Winston, and the Coca-Cola, the Great Western Bank. So that's what we want to overwrite. And it looks like this is it here. So you'll notice that there are 5 different files, which basically look like the same thing. It's just that these are different file sizes. So you have 4, 3 is smaller than 4, 2 is smaller than 3, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to open up number 4 here. And as you can see, it looks a little different than what we're looking at in the game. The Coca-Cola sign just happens to be down at the bottom, where in the game, you'll see it's up top. Also, when you exit out of the game like that, the jumbotron just completely disappears, so that's totally normal. So what we're going to do is we are going to replace these with the flags and stuff like that. I'm just going to hop on Google and see if I can find a picture of 1971 Oakland Coliseum. And we'll do an image search to see what type of flags we want to have. Not really coming up with anything right off the bat here. So I'll just put a couple of generic flags, and then as you complete this tutorial, you can add whatever you'd like in there. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to look for, let's say, Yankee Stadium pennant flags, just to get something there. And I know that again, Yankee Stadium has all these flags here. So I'm going to look for one that's got a decent file size. So I'm going to do a large search there. And all right, because I'm not looking for anything pretty, I'm just going to grab this one, it looks like, and go ahead and save that to my desktop as well. And then we're going to open that sucker up in Photoshop. Now, normally what I would do here is I would color correct things and try and get them a neutral color so that they look halfway decent, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm not going to bother. So we're going to try and grab these flags, and I use the triangular tool here, or the hexagonal lasso tool, and all I'm doing is just grabbing the flag. I copy it with Control-C and then Control-V to paste it in where we want it to go. And then I'll give it a free transform to make it a little bigger. And again, just for the purposes of this tutorial, I won't waste your time grabbing all these flags. I'm just going to duplicate the layer and kind of expand it outward this way. So it's not going to look pretty in-game, but that's not the point. We just want to get something. So I'm just going to continue to duplicate. So it looks like we can fit about 6 in there. So that's what we'll do. Cool. So now that we've got the flags, I just hit Control-E to compress those all into one layer. And then in the background, I'm just going to black everything out. So I've got black already set as one of my colors. And I switch to the background. And just hit the delete key, and there you go. So now we've got the flags, and we still have the Coca-Cola sign. And the reason why we still have the Coca-Cola sign is because we need to create an alpha image here. I was under the impression that this file already had alpha images, but it does not. So that's something that we're going to need to fix. So I'm going to now create the alpha image. So I guess I can get rid of the Coca-Cola now. That's fine, because we have to create the alpha image. And then I simply hit Control-E one more time. That compresses things. So now we just have the 6 flags. Ha! Pun, I guess. Okay, so now we save. I'm just going to do a Control-S to save that. So now we have it saved as 15-4.bmp. And now we want to change the sizes. I just constrain proportions because it's easier that way, and I only need to enter one number. So we go in, just a format where 512 is what we had, so 256 was the height. We're going to switch the height with the width, and it automatically calculates the height to be 128, which is what we want. And then I'm going to do a file save as. I'm going to change the file number to 15-3. Do you want to replace it? Yes. And 24-bit, absolutely. So I'm just going to do the same thing for the next couple. Again, just in descending order. 128 by 64 now. That's going to be 15-2. And I'll just try and breeze along this as quickly as possible here. Just doing the same thing, descending order. One more. There we go. And then I'll just close that out for now. But I will open it up again because there is a way where you can just undo what you did and be able to get that layer back and change the color that way. But I wanted to just show you just in case you did what I did and you closed out by mistake. So I'm going to show my desktop again, go back into Cram32, the folder there. And there you see the flags. All good. Now, that's all well and good, but if you just left it like this, you would see the flags, but you would see the black background as well. And we don't want that. We don't want the black background. And that's kind of what Esky was getting. He was seeing that black negative space where there should have been nothing. So we're going to fix that right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back in. We're going to open up 15-4 again, make it bigger here. And I'm going to use my magic wand tool. I have the tolerance set at about 70. I might need to reduce that. Yeah, a little bit. I'll reduce that just so it's picking up the majority of the flags. There we go. And I just selected the black area because that's easier than trying to select everything with the flags there and trying to be really particular. So I just selected the negative space, and then I'm just going to do select inverse. It saves a ton of time and effort. So now that we've got the flag selected, I'm going to go to layer. I'm sorry, not layer, image, adjustments, and levels, or you can just do a Control L. And then where it has this black area here, I'm just going to take this slider, slide it up, and then it's completely white. I click OK. And then this is going to be our alpha file. Alpha files are always in grayscale, so I want to grayscale that. Now, I'm going to save it as, and because there is no alpha image, I'm creating something brand new. So I just add A to the end of the 4, so it's going to be 15-4A, and I want to save it as an 8-bit. Good. And then I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm just going to shrink it down, and then save as, and then same thing except I'm keeping the A. So this is going to be 15-3A, and again saving it as an 8-bit. It's going to do the same throughout. 2. And I'm not getting any overwrite warnings because, again, we're creating something brand new. 1 and 0. So there we go. We've got our alpha image. There is one more step that we need to do, and I will go all the way down to the end of my file, the index. This is where you compress, but it's also where you can edit the file. So I right-click this index, and it gives me a choice of what I want to open it up with. I'm going to open it up with Notepad. So this is kind of the word code that tells the game how the stadium should look. And as you can see, 15-%D, that just means that there's more, the percent sign just means that there's more numbers to it. So you're going to see a 4, a 3, a 2, a 1, etc. And we need to make sure that that's an alpha. If we don't, then again, we'll still get that black negative space. So what I'm going to do is in this second line here, MVP plus 2, you'll see this 60 here. We're going to make this a 61 so that it recognizes the alpha. And the way I know that is because there's another alpha image here, and I just kind of took it from that. So you see the 61 here and then the alpha. So I just changed the 60 to a 61. And then I'm creating a new line. And then I'm just going to change the 14 to a 15. So alpha 15-%, which again just means the number is more than just one file. So %da.bmp. And that will get your alpha image, and that'll get rid of all that negative space. I'm going to save it in Notepad, and then I'm going to double click, and that compresses everything back up. I can close it out. So now that the cram32 file is good, we can import it back into the stadium.big file. So I'm just going to double click. Do you want to replace? Absolutely, I do. And then I'm going to compress this in Big GUI. And that's just this button right here. Easy enough. And the reason I know to do that is because it was compressed to begin with. That's how it originally came. This is Dennis James's original file. So that's how he did it. Now, there is one more thing that we need to do, and this is because with Esky, he was saying that he still saw the jumbotron, the TV screen there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a... well, first I'll tell you what files are controlling that first. That might be a little easier. you have jumbo.ord and jumbo.orl. So that controls the jumbotron. I'm going to go into one of these other stadiums. I chose Cleve Day because it's one of the classic stadiums. I can't remember if I overwrote it with something in just my own editing. So chances are, there's a chance that we could see something, but I'm hoping not in terms of the jumbotron. So again, I opened Cleve Day, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to steal those two files, jumbo.ord and jumbo.orl. And I'm just going to export them into my desktop. And note these are compressed in the original file, and in Dennis James's edit of the Coliseum, they were not. Since we're completely changing the jumbotron, I'm going to compress them again. So first, I'm going to import jumbo.ord, jumbo.orl. Yes, I want to replace them, and I am going to compress them because that's how they were in the original file that I'm hoping will not have a jumbotron. So we'll find out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to close the game out real quick because you can't make changes to a stadium while the stadium is actually loaded up. So I'm just going to back out of the game completely, and I will be right back. There we go. All right, so everything has been done with netwday.big. So I'm going to close that out. We don't need it anymore. We don't need to be open anymore, at least. And now I am just going to drag and drop this back into my stadiums folder. Asks if I want to overwrite. Yes, I do. And there we go. I can tell that it has been edited and saved that way because the date of last change, 8/12/2020 at 17:10, so 1 minute ago. All right, so now that we've got that done, let's run the game and see what happens.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Thanks for joining us today in Oakland. Welcome to the ball game, folks.
Now batting, the designated hitter, Willie.
He hits a roller over towards first.
All right, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so what we're seeing here is, I guess, in the middle there, it was just designed to be blank space. So I'm not quite sure why that is. I can tell the reason why the flagpoles are kind of split up is because it must not line up correctly with, like the Bud Light didn't line up correctly with the Western Bank or whatever. But we do have the two flags on either side, and I guess we just can't get the flags in that black space where the Jumbotron used to be. But you can see that there's no Jumbotron now. We have a couple flags, and now we just have these three bars, and I'm not sure where those go. So that's really my limited knowledge of stadium editing. What I can do is I can just kind of go into Photoshop, play around, and see if I can line up the flagpoles better to the flag, because like you saw, we had it open, and we were kind of getting a situation where it was looking almost like this. And that's just something that you'll have to tweak. And even, if you were to load or change it to something like this on the file, that might be a fix. But it's looking like these two flagpoles are not going to show up because of that dedicated blank space due to the Jumbotron. And in my limited knowledge of stadium modding, I don't know if there's a workaround. I'm sure there is if you want to use the O-Edit stadium editing program, but that's something that's really beyond my expertise. So again, that's pretty much how you do it. The Cram32 folder is where you find all of the graphic elements of your stadium and everything like that. I know that Esky brought up another issue with one of his scoreboards not showing up. I don't know. You'd kind of have to play around with that negative space to see if you can find out anything. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that. Because again, when you have negative space, just negative space that's completely cleared out, you could be looking at anywhere from like in this area or this area. You just really have to play around with it to see where everything is missing and then try and add whatever you can. So that's about it. That is my stadium editing tutorial just when it comes to creating an alpha file when one isn't there, to changing around what the graphics are, and then Siri just went off, I guess. So sorry about that. But yeah, what we did is we extracted files from the stadium folders. We extracted a jumbotron from a clean stadium that did not have the TV screen right in center field, and we added that into our stadium. We changed around the advertisements into flags. Again, we created the alpha for it so that the flags would show up and we wouldn't get that black negative space. And we found out that it takes a little bit more playing around. But that's a project that you can undertake if you'd like. And that's about all I've got. If you have any questions, comments, or whatever, feel free to drop me a private message in the forums or reach out to me in the support forum. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one.